those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as Arapanet and created by we the people, now controlled by a few billionaires that we must take back. And today we're going to talk about a subject as well, the constant encroachment by our economic system, by folks that create nothing of value. Anyway, before we get started today, of course, we go to the studio where resides our resident geniuses, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Ben Beba.
Well, it is Wednesday morning at the radio, the 16th of July, 2025, and we are on KPFT Houston, and good morning to you, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Let's see, what shall I rant about today? I think it's inflationary prices and Trump tariffs. However, the phone is ringing, so I'm going to hand it over to Jack to I'm going to go answer the phone.
All right, Jack, talk to me, my dear brother. Talk to me.
All right. I made a list of 10 things I would like to see changed in our government and our court systems. Number one, fix the Supreme Court. It's out of balance and corrupted by corporate influence. Number two, roll back the Dobbs decision. Restore women's reproductive rights to full power. Roll back Citizens United and the other two decisions that granted corporate personhood and equates money as free speech. Re-regulate media, that's number four. Re-regulate media ownership. 5, re-regulate capitalism. Change our economic model from neoliberalism to what?
Free
what
enterprise.
Be the next one. All right. 6, do not allow the corporate oligarchs to take us to war for profit or to stimulate the economy. We have to repurpose the oligarchs' role in our society. Number 7, decrease world population. Population is a problem they're not talking about because we have to use resources. The more people, the more resources, and resources are getting scarcer. All right. Number 8, change criminal law from a punishment model to a restitution model. 9, make a distinguish between good commerce and predatory commerce. And 10, stop paying the people and institutions that are enslaving us.
Jack,
like insurance.
If they rolled back Citizens United, how are they going to buy the politicians?
Man, that's a conundrum that doesn't need to be solved.
How are they going to buy your representatives? How are they going to influence politics? How are they going to do this? Rolling back Citizens United should be number one.
Right. Well, you got to fix the court first. It's
yeah,
out of
that's
balance.
true. It is out of balance. The rubber stamp Supreme Court. Oh, sure, you can go ahead and do that. The Supreme Court should have said, that's Congress's job. You can't do that.
Right.
Wake up, Congress. What are you doing?
Go to work.
Absolutely. What you got for us today, Egberto?
All right. I love the rants. And by the way, I like Jack's 10 Commandments, right? I think that would look a lot better on every school wall than the 10 Commandments that they want to put up there, that really the folks who want to put it refuse to live up to it. I mean, after all, these are the guys that support the ethnic cleansing of people on our streets as they throw people out. The attack on many of us has finally hit close to home. They always talk about 6 degrees of separation or something like that. Well, a friend of mine left the country and there was an issue, a mistake that the passport office somehow made with their passport, and they were met in a country that they got there with police officers who walked them off the plane, getting ready to send them right back to the United States under the command of the United States request, because somehow they decided that they were going to do some searching on the person, and then it turns out it is their mistake. But again, what we have right now in our current police state is appalling, and it will rain down on anyone who doesn't show 100% loyalty to our Führer. So, folks, beware. They're coming for others right now. Next, they'll be coming for you. Anyway,
Yep.
before I get started on crypto and other things, I see that we have a caller. So let's take care of the caller and then we'll go ahead and get into the program. So, John in Cyprus. Come on in, John.
Hey, good morning, hermano. How's it
¿Cómo
going?
estás? Hablando, todo está bien, hermano. Talk to me.
I hear you guys ranting, and I know one of them has the same worthless Congress I do, Wesley Hunt, and I did write him and asked him. He doesn't. You're not representing me. Why are you allowing pedophiles in the White House? And those who support pedophiles are pedophiles. And I just think that you're right. Your guy's right about one thing. It's the court. They've corrupted the courts. And I had an uncle who died of COVID at 92, and he told me that nothing's going to be straightened out as long as we have the ultra-right conservative judges that we have. And the Biden administration failed miserably. And the more we get into this, and the worse things get, now I read now we have restaurants being closed down here in Houston, here in Texas, because they're raiding restaurants, and they're warning them, and they're not arresting the owners. They're going out there and they're closed down because nobody wants to work there anymore. And the same thing's going to happen on the farms, and we haven't felt it yet.
Well, actually, we've started to feel it. Have you noticed? Go to your HEB or one of these stores and try to get different varieties of lettuce as you did before. You'll notice you can't find them.
I was going to bring up the fact that my diet, because of my medical, has been pretty steady for the last 5 years or so. And over the last 2 or 3 years, my grocery bill has gone from trying to keep it under 70 every time I went to the store to under 100. My last two grocery bills, me and my wife, we went separately, $160, $150. So even our grocery bill's gone up, and you can't get everything you want. So you feel it, and the people out there right now don't have any problem dealing with it until it affects them.
Right.
And I'm saying right now, the Democrats ought to be on rooftops hollering about Jeffrey Epstein, have we forgotten about habeas corpus? Have we forgotten about due process? And some of the people I want to support were out there at Alligator, Alcatraz, or Auschwitz, whatever they call it, and not one said these people haven't been given due process. They're not criminals. We haven't decided that. Trump decided it.
Let me just tell you that Florida Representative Maxwell Frost has. And Maxwell Frost is one of the guys. In fact, I have a video to play of Maxwell's where he what he said was the following. He said the Americans have created, not the Americans, the Trump administration has created and let me read it here because you brought up an important point. They want to ethnically cleanse this country of certain types of immigrants. And that was his phrase that he used. And it is something that after we're done, I'll probably play that one before I start talking about crypto. Continue, my brother.
Well, the thing is, back in the late 60s and early 70s when I was in college, I joined the Raza Unida, and at the same time I was working for the United Farm Workers. Mm-hmm. And that movement and Raza Unida, and Raza Unida never was united, because Latinos, for some reason, there's a part of us that think that you're a Republican. I don't understand that part at all. But just like 25% of black men think that they're Republicans for some reason. And as long as we have that ignorance, and we do have a lot of ignorance, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to continue to butt our heads. But the media's failed us. The more I see everything I see how Joe Biden has failed us, because Jeffrey Epstein was murdered back in 2019. Mm-hmm. And so the next 4 years after that, Biden did nothing about it.
Right.
Nothing. They didn't attack the courts. They didn't do any of that. So the more I see Biden's legacy going down as just absolute failure, an absolute failure. So I see this as one of the main problems, is that as long as you have the stock market being like Trump's manipulated it now, it's not just the Republicans; it's the Democrats that are making money, and that nest egg they don't want to touch.
It is what's called neoliberalism. John, I got to go, but here's the deal: it's what's called neoliberalism. Okay, neoliberalism is the issue, and we talk about that all of the time, but we'll continue. But John, thank you very much for calling, my brother.
Sure. Keep calling your congressman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyway, welcome aboard. In the house, we have Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Lawrence Ethers, welcome. And we have Nat Slump. Hello. We also have on Substack, Ellen McCurry, Beth Bennett, Marg, KJ. How you doing, March? John A. Davis, Vicky Ritter, Tammy Cortez, John A. Lewis Rollins, Mary Brommer, Michael Willis, Michael Mills, actually, Mary Brommer, Candace White. Thank you all for being here. Anyway, since El Senor John from Cyprus brought up the issue of immigration, let me go ahead and play that video, and then we'll continue the program about crypto and the bill that they're attempting to pass. But first, we are going to, in fact, discuss crypto and the crap that it represents. This is why I like our Gen Z Congress people. They don't pull any punches as they're speaking. They don't pull any punches in just telling it like it is. And this is what Maxwell Frost, a congressman, No, that's my bad, I believe. So folks, let me go ahead and make sure that I have our channels correct, because if our channels are not set up correctly, it'll play over the internet, but it will not play over the rest. And I'm looking at the Maxwell Frost video right now, and guess what? Yours truly screwed up. So let's try that one more time. Let's go. Here we go. Maxwell. This is why I like our Gen Z Congress people. They don't pull any punches as they're speaking. They don't pull any punches in just telling it like it is. And this is what Maxwell Frost, a congressman from Florida, Gen Z, did. And I want you to listen to this segment here about the immigration detention centers, what we should really call the gulags, or you can call it by whatever name you want. But what it is, it's a place where we are taking away the human rights of a lot of people. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Breaking news that's just happened within the past hour. The Washington Post is reporting under this headline: ICE declares millions of undocumented immigrants ineligible for bond hearings. This is a new revisited legal position on detention and release authorities from the Trump administration. They're saying that anybody who came into the United States illegally is no longer eligible for a bond hearing. And that might sound like a technical bit of legalese, but what they're saying is that means millions of people who crossed the border into this country, came to this country illegally, can be arrested now, and have no right to get out. It literally could mean millions of people to be incarcerated indefinitely for the duration of any of their immigration proceedings, which can take months or years. Lawyers are responding to this by saying that this could mean the incarceration of millions of immigrants who came here over the past few decades, not people who have just arrived recently. I know you may or may not have had a chance to absorb this since this news just broke, but I wanted to get your instant reaction to it.
No, I saw it, and it's a complete perversion of a law and long-standing legal standard as it relates to detention. You know, for about a century in this country, if you are an immigrant, you're someone that's undocumented, and you're going through a process, maybe you've been arrested or detained, you're able to bond out, you're able to go back out in the world, continue to work, continue to be with your family as you go through the legal process. And that's been the standard for a century. In 1996, Congress passed a law that would essentially introduce this concept of mandatory detention for certain people, saying, well, judges can't give some immigrants the ability to bond out if they're a flight risk, if they've committed a crime, they have to remain detained. Now, the Trump administration is saying, well, that 1996 law applies to everyone, and it doesn't. They're completely wrong. And actually, this has already been settled in court in Washington at a detention center in Tacoma. So this will be litigated, but this points to something bigger. They want more people behind bars. They want to incarcerate more people, and they want to ethnically cleanse this country of certain types of immigrants. Because here's the thing. They're not going for every person here that's undocumented, because when I was in that internment camp in the Everglades, I didn't see any Europeans who overstayed their visa. I saw nothing but Latino men and Haitian men. And as we look at these operations going around the country, they are targeting specific types of people, and it's the type of people that look like me.
Now, this is clear. I love the way he said, what we are seeing here is ethnic cleansing. And it is true. If you take a look at exactly how this administration is performing, what they're doing with ICE is they're looking for people of color, people with an accented set of color, and putting them in these gulags, putting them in these internment centers. As someone had previously said, why aren't they in Little Italy? Why aren't they in Little Russia? Why aren't they in areas where we know there are a lot of undocumented Europeans, undocumented Canadians, undocumented folks of European heritage? Maxwell Frost nails it. This is ethnic cleansing. And for him to be able to personalize that and say, what I saw in those cages were people like me. And that's all he is going to see in those cages. People like him. A Latino or a black man. A Latino or a brown guy. I mean, it is shameful that we are building up. We are making it seem normal to do what Hitler did. We are making it seem normal to repeat the Holocaust, if not as bad as the Holocaust, but to repeat that with what we're doing to people in these internment camps. And I mean no disregard to what our Jewish brothers and sisters had to go through at all. At all. I understand. But what I'm saying is this is the ramp up, folks. This is the ramp up. And our Jewish brothers and sisters, our Black brothers and sisters, or Latino or Chinese brothers and sisters, everybody need to get on board and defend our citizens and our immigrants now. Absolutely so. I want to address Marge KJ, John Sharkey, and Mary Brommer before I go to Augie. Marge KJ says, I am doing awesome. You men really piss me off. President Biden isn't the problem. We have a Congress. They are the problem. Sharkey says, I agree with Mark. And Mary Brommer says, yes, Congress is the big problem. And the Supreme Court also. Can I argue with any of those comments? No, let me explain. It is true. If all of you who listen to the program have heard me say that President Biden has been the most progressive president in my lifetime since becoming an American, in fact. More progressive than Obama, more progressive than Clinton in the policies that he passed, policies that the Progressive Caucus dragged President Biden to fulfill. The thing is, and I've made this statement other places. I think these progressive, very progressive policies were fulfilled because it was Biden, a neoliberal within, was better able to build a coalition than an outright progressive like our brother Bernie Sanders. And in being very practical, I've made that admission and said, I don't think Bernie, which supports all the policies that I support, compared to Biden, who hedges on quite a few progressive policies. Again, Biden is a guy who supports unfettered capitalism as well. Let's say Nancy Pelosi, in that they want Congress people to be able to continue to trade on the stock market and all these things, which is a conflict of interest if all of us want to be honest about that issue, right? So, but when John of Cyprus calls in and says, as he sees more occurring, he is upset about Biden's legacy. This is why that must be understood. There is so much, and it's not only Biden, it is Obama as the leader of the party then with a Congress. When Mary says, yes, Congress is the big problem, she's right. But let's watch Trump's operation with Congress. Trump, as the leader, gets Congress to, he uses all kinds of machinations to get Congress to fulfill his will most of the times. We have Biden and Obama who had not applied the type of pressure to Congress that they could have, because that's not the modus operandi of the Democratic Party. Let me give a classic example. One of the things that would have made the Affordable Care Act so much stronger and harder to repeal would have been having a public option in the bill. By having a public option to compete with the private sector, the constant volatility in prices, well, specifically the increase in prices of the exchange, would not have occurred, and that would have made people not ever wanting. Republicans could not possibly attempt to dismantle Obamacare as they're doing right now. As an example, look at Canada and how they made their system. And now even conservatives in Canada don't dare attempt to move their Medicare for all, or even the folks in Great Britain who will never mess with the national health NHS, the national healthcare system. So when it comes to Obama, that's one example. When it comes to Obama as well, it's not forcing the Speaker of not the Speaker of the House, but the Senate, the Senate head, from saying, if you guys are not going to allow me to put my Supreme Court justice in there, we're going to do exactly what the Trump administration forced his Senate to do. And that is to break the cloture rule and put those three Supreme Court justices in, for which we are paying the price. We are paying the price because, again, Obama did not exert the pressure on the Senate to break cloture to get his guy in, and instead we gave Trump unfettered access to the Supreme Court, and we're having to live through that today. Moving on to Biden. We didn't get, again, under Biden, the forcefulness necessary on, let's say, the cinema and Manchin, who made sure that his bills weren't as effective as they could have been. In other words, if Manchin is supported, if Manchin is one who came out and said about his own constituents, the reason he doesn't want to continue supporting payments to many of his his constituents for childcare, etc., is that they would drink off the money. That's what he said about his constituency, a Democrat. And Biden never pulled him aside and said, look, Manchin, on this one, you're going to sign this or else, and go to cinema and says, on this one, you're going to sign this or else, as done by Donald Trump. Had they done that, there is no way that Trump would have won the election by being able to say, are you better off today than yesterday? Are you getting this? Because these people would have had an incentive to go out there and vote, because they would have truthfully been told, if you elect Trump, he already says this is all gone. But that was not there. Yes, Kamala Harris lost for other reasons that we've gone over as well. But there's nothing like knowing they're really going to take away this thing from you. And we can go with policy after policy after policy. So here is the deal, my brothers and sisters. It's not about dinging Biden. It's about just saying, let's learn from our mistakes. And again, the mistakes that we call on Biden and Obama and other Democrats, that is, it's things like, the reason those things have occurred is that is where their head is at. Biden is a true institutionalist, a true federal capitalist institutionalist. Yes, Trump is a criminal. You're correct, March KJ. He is doing whatever he wants. Before Trump, they worked with Republicans because that was done. You're absolutely right. But that is not the world we're currently living in. You are absolutely right. But you cannot stay in a world that doesn't exist anymore. And many a times that is what Biden and many other seasoned Democrats do. And one of the things that we do on this program, if you recall, I played a piece on which one of the Democratic senators says, we are doing all that we're supposed to do. We're calling out Trump. And I'm sitting down there and I'm saying, and what is that going to do? Does Trump care if you call him out? No, they don't. And we have to realize that we live in a world now where shame doesn't exist, where doing bad deeds is not disqualifying. And how do we know that bad deeds is not disqualifying? Well, Trump is our president. Somebody who has been accused of raping women is the president. Somebody who's been accused of stealing from his own constituents is the president. Somebody who lies over 30,000 times when he was in office the first time and is on the same track right now. Somebody who demeans other people is the president. Somebody who steals we'll go over Bitcoins and all that stuff in a little bit. So we understand that no longer do those rules apply. And the older Democrats in Congress and in the Senate, they have to realize that the game is no longer played the way it used to be. And if you don't adapt, you die. And we need them to adapt. I am one that you don't see supporting Hakeem Jeffries. Why? Because Hakeem is still in the same old world, slow moving, not reacting as fast as he should. Ro Khanna says it's time for us to call out Republicans for doing anything. Let's put the bill. Well, that bill wouldn't get passed. Of course not. But at least the American people would see that the Republicans are voting against American interests. It's not the same. It's not the same game anymore. And while the Republicans play it well and win with it, Democrats don't. And that's what we are trying to have Democrats do. Learn how to play the game in this real change where shame means nothing, where lying means nothing. So what you have to do is fight with your deeds, with your truths and with your deeds. So I hope you get my point, March KJ, that we have to join this new game. John Sharkey says, listen to John Leguizamo, the actor, rant about the milquetoast polite attitude of the current Democrats, and you will get fired up. There you go. And we have morning KJ. I mean UJ. Uju, welcome aboard, beautiful. Thank you for being here. Uju from Florida. Eric Hayes is in the house. Joe from Los Angeles, California. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Lawrence Ehlers. Thank you all for being here. Birdie Buff, welcome aboard as well. All right, let's go ahead and get to our callers. Augie, how you doing, Augie? Sorry for putting you on hold, but I wanted to go ahead and make a few points, my brother.
Yeah, well, I was going to call about Jack's 10 Commandments. Growing up, the 10 Commandments were also called the 10 deadly sins, and 3 of them are greed, gluttony, and covetousness. And who's the poster child for that? Our orange-haired dictator wannabe, and plus some of our Republican politicians, particularly here in Texas. And also, when the guy blamed Biden for not doing what he's supposed to do, I go with that lady. We got 3 branches of government, not one. So, and they blame Obama for not doing enough and Biden for not doing enough. When Obama, in the first morning he was president, Moscow Midge got all the Republicans to vote against him for both terms. Every day they were working against Obama. And
Augie, can I interrupt you a second because I want to give you some kudos. McConnell actually, and I have the video of McConnell actually saying the most important thing that we have to do right now is to ensure Obama is a one-term president. He actually said that, I think, on the day that Obama was elected. Now, also, Augie, I hope you listen to what my response to March KJ. It's not about hitting Obama and Obama and Biden for being bad guys. They're not. Absolutely not. We're just saying that folks need to play the game that we have today, which the Republicans are dominating because we continue to play the game like gentle people, gentlemen, gentle women, but they play the game where shame doesn't mean anything. Lying doesn't mean anything. And that kind of person right now wins. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, and also sort of control the media too. Like when Trump bombed Iran, ABC, NBC, I was watching TV, and they both said the same thing, like they're reading the same script, that that the United States was at war with them for 50 years, starting with when the Iranian Red Guard took to the embassy prisoners.
Right.
We haven't been at war with them at that. In fact, they were friends of Ronald Reagan and the Republicans.
Yeah.
The Iranian guards were ready to release them within 2 or 3 days. Ronald Reagan and the Republicans told them, no, hold on to them until the election is over. If they had released them, Jimmy Carter probably would have gotten his second term.
Yeah.
Instead, they were released on the morning of Ronald Reagan's inauguration. Nobody thought about that, why they were kept so long.
And you make an important point, Augie, in that, and it's shameful, right, that the news media didn't cover that for all practical purposes, Reagan's people committed treason when months before, those prisoners were getting ready to be released, and they are the ones through back channels who told Iran not to do that. And the other thing about Iran, Iran was one of our best friends until Iran decided that they were going to nationalize their oil because they were being ripped off by the British and American companies. Their own resource, they weren't getting maximal benefit of their own resources. And when they decided to do that, that is when they became enemy number one. And our CIA and the British group got Mossadegh overthrown. Those are histories that we're not told in America, so we get we got the wrong impression of who was and why, who was our friends and not. So thank you for bringing that up. Hey, but Augie, my lines are super filled. Give me a quick closer, brother.
Okay, well, Brian called yesterday at the end and said he had the facts, but he had his facts wrong. FDR didn't tax the rich in 32. In the 40s during World War II, when three groups that supported FDR said they weren't going to vote for him for his last term unless he taxed the rich, and he did.
Exactly.
And he also blamed JFK for reducing the tax on the rich. It wasn't JFK; it was Eisenhower, and every Republican president since then, up to Trump, started reducing the tax on the rich.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Augie. Got to go to Tag. Thank you, my brother. Tag, come on in.
Morning, Egberto. I just finally realized that Trump is a fearmonger, plain and simple. He loves to instill fear in anybody and everybody to be able to flex his muscle. And I think once people start realizing that, it really explains why he's doing a lot of what he does. Another observation I had is I read on Fox News yesterday that Melania came to Trump and said, "Did you see the Russians are bombing maternity hospitals?" And all of a sudden Trump kind of reflects that in what he's saying and doing. So I was kind of impressed by that. And so the one last issue, I know this is reaching, Egberto, but I just like to think about it. What would happen if the Hill Congress went blue, and in 28 the presidency went blue? What would the Supreme Court do?
That's a legitimate question. That is a very legitimate question. And again, like the thing about it is, our country, the Constitution only means something if we choose to follow the Constitution. And the Supreme Court is doing a whole lot with the Constitution that ain't constitutional, but they are the ones who interpret the Constitution. So there you go. That's a big, big flaw proper of the Constitution itself. Anyway, thank you very much, Tag. Got to go to John. All right?
Have a good day, Egberto. Bye-bye.
You too, brother. All right, John, come on in.
Yeah, just dovetail on that. Yeah, we need to add to the Supreme Court, obviously, and we have had opportunities to do that. But I also wanted to say this is the politics of hate. We really are in a fascist/Nazi thing going on here. They're at war with us, and it's a politics of hate, and hate really unfortunately works really well, and we need to recognize it. I knew people who were in the French underground, and they were very religious, but their actions caused the death of the Nazis, the occupiers. And, I'm not advocating violence, but what I'm advocating is a very muscular politics that tries to get that 100 million people that don't vote to vote. And we need to see the back of these people. They are literally destroying our democracy and our economy for their own gain.
I want to stop you there. I want to stop you there because a very important concept. We need to wake up that other 100 million Americans that don't go out there and vote. Actually, I think it's 70 something million, but I could be wrong. And here's the deal. They have to feel a reason to go out there and vote. And what we should do is start looking at the people who are able to do just that. We take a look at Mamdani in New York. And Mandami in New York has the formula that many of us progressives have always known, and that is just treat human beings like human beings. Ask human beings what it is that they want. Ask human beings what are they willing to compromise about. And guess what? You find out that the people that would be your constituents are pretty darn smart. When it comes to you saying something like, I don't want to preach violence, you don't ever have to do that. Let me tell you, right here in my red area, I look at some people that when they they see me and they hear me say something, they get, because they listen to Fox News, they get so frustrated and they're ready to kill me. They're ready to be to really get mad. And I would ask a simple question. I would say, I don't. I look at you right now. I don't hate you. I don't not like you. What, just from what I said, is it that makes you hate me so much? And the response that you get would be shocking. And why is it shocking? Because the person starts to realize, why am I fighting you? And again, once you get them to that plane of their own critical thinking, and that is what we try to do here, John. You don't have to get all riled up. When you finally get to the place, why is it that you hate me again? Specifically, what is it about me that you don't like? And when you force them to tell you why, it's amazing how it changes. Hey, John, I gotta go because my lines are filled up. So, but thank you very much for calling in, my brother. Um, let's let's go to Don. Come on in, Don. Line 5. I was supposed to speak about crypto today. I'm going to wait till the end and just give a couple of lines about it. Don, talk to me.
Morning, Alberto. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Man, I agree with you 100%. But here's the problem. Why is it me and you know what's ailing the Democratic Party, but the people in the party are acting as if they don't know? It's very, very clear. What you're saying is absolutely true. Could it be because they're receiving the same PAC money as the Republicans?
You know that your answer is correct. Of course, Don.
Yeah.
You know the answer. Don, you know that your answer is correct. That is the reason why.
Right.
The plutocracy funds the leadership of the Democratic Party. The plutocracy funds the leadership of the Republican Party. Both parties.
So here's my question. What do we do to change this?
Let me give a couple of examples, okay? If you take a look at the judge race in Wisconsin, Elon Musk threw all his money behind a Republican candidate. The progressives got money. Don't get me wrong. The progressives got a lot of money, a lot of it small dollar money. But the progressives still won by a landslide in a state like Wisconsin. Okay? Why? Again, we actually had a true grassroots campaign. Now, let me be clear here. The neoliberals never had to get into that race because they really wanted that woman to win. Now, if the neoliberals had got into that race, it might have been a bit more nebulous. Let's give another example. Mamdani, who was at 0 in February as far as being able to win that election, came out and won that election in a landslide. And you don't hear them advertise on TV that Mandani won in a landslide. He won in a landslide. And even with Cuomo and the current mayor Adams in the race, he's still winning that race by double digits. What does that tell you? That you are correct. Go ahead.
But my own party doesn't want to support Mamdani. Because what he stands for is contradicting what the Democratic Party really stands for.
Here's the deal. What the let's clear the Democratic Party away from the Democratic establishment. Okay? The Democratic Party is a group of progressives and moderates who really stand for the working class. The problem is the leadership has not done the work. And what I tell progressives all along, and you see folks like Neil Aquino, who's on the show every Thursday, and others, they're out there fanning out progressives, right? But This is
Right.
stuff you're not going to see on TV because you won't see them. You won't see the work on the cable news Sunday programs. You won't see them because those are personas non gratas. They're the ones that are true progressives, true grassroots. But what happens is when they break through, everybody on the screen says, "How did that happen?" Well, Mamdani and other progressives that are winning show that it can be done, and you don't have to be the one with the most money, but you have to be the out one, hugging people, talking to people, telling people you love them, letting them know that you are in it for them, not for the other side. And that's what, go ahead, brother. And then I got to move on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But what I'm tired of doing is the Democratic Party with Chuck Schumer saying, just do absolutely nothing. Everybody's going to get frustrated and come back to us. Meaning
Let me
we're
ask
electing.
you, Don, before you go, Don, before you go, listen to what you just said. I am tired of Schumer. I'm tired. I don't give a rat's you know what about Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, right? Let me tell you what I do.
Rid of these
What
people.
what I do is I try to talk to people directly. I don't care what Schumer and Hakeem are saying because for me it's white noise. I believe in what you can do, and your call here to this program give us the ability to tell others, forget about these guys and stop complaining about the Democratic Party establishment. We do, yeah, not stop complaining. Stop thinking that that represents the established the people, and let's talk directly to the people. But thank you, my brother, for calling in. You have a wonderful rest of your day, Don.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
yeah, you too.
let's go to brother Bruce. But before I get to Bruce, I want to read Uju. Uju says, current day Democrats doing what the post Civil War Republicans did, trying to find common ground with folks who will legitimately burn the country down and don't see anyone not their side as humans. Vote each of them out from hall monitors to the highest offices. They have showed us that they have never believed in governance. They have always believed in taking and imposing their will over everyone. Suzette, as Jensen said, you're correct. We are not taught the real history. I think that was when I was talking about Iran. Iran is only one example of that truth. Uju also says, speaking of the Supreme Court, time to make every single public official term limited, including the Supreme Court. I was always against term limits. When it comes to the Supreme Court now, I am having to reconsider it. I'm having to reconsider it because, again, unlike regular offices that are democratically elected every time, with the Supreme Court life job, you're bringing me to your position on that one with the Supreme Court, Uju. Let's see. On the other chat, I've got, let me see. I don't think billionaires are interested in progress at all, and that is from Bertie Buff. I agree with you 100%, Bertie Buff. They will never be interested in that. Glenn Ryan says, here we go again, refusing to accept the Democratic Party is lost to the people. Isn't that what a lot the Democratic establishment, brother? And I think that's what we're talking about. I don't think you'll see a disagreement on anybody with that. All right, let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. Bruce will be in line 6. There you go. Bruce, you're on.
Yeah, you had great callers today. You mentioned the ethnic cleansing. I'm white and I see that going on, but I see something else going on, political cleansing. When he puts that big army together, you're going to see political cleansing. Now, you notice that proportionately there's more ICE raids in blue states. It seems like L.A., New York. There's a reason for that. He's trying to send a vindictive message. I saw on Yahoo News yesterday that the government's about to incinerate food that's sitting in warehouses. That was going to go.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All those biscuits, yeah.
Back when we had Somalia, we had Live Aid. Why hasn't anybody organized something to where we could fundraise and get some cargo planes and deliver that food our dang self? That's kind of bothered me. The last thing I want to say is I'm going to go for lunch to that little restaurant I told you about, run by an immigrant family. And what I have to eat is better than anything Trump's ever tasted in his life. I'm done. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so kindly. Enjoy that food. You know, every time I watch, there's this local eats here in Houston. I constantly say, I'm going to get me some fufu and some jollof rice at this Nigerian restaurant in this area. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Why am I not shocked that the news that Bruce just shared that Republicans want to incinerate food in warehouses? Why am I not shocked about that? You just inspired a new poem called White Noise. You know that. White
Okay.
Noise.
That's what. Go ahead, brother.
Hopefully I'll have time to write, titled White Noise. It will address the idea of the power elite when they, and that is both the centrist Democrats and the head of the Republican Party and the owners of the media, tell us when it's time to make war against another country, then all of a sudden it's okay for violence. But other than that, they love it when leaders on our side tell our own people, no, violence is not the answer. That sets us up for failure. And even though I agree with you that voting is the answer, it's not the only answer. Why? Because all that the Republicans are doing right now, make no mistake, what they're doing right now, if they're doing everything that they're doing right now, there is no reason why they wouldn't try to go overboard to scuttle the voting results. So what we should have been doing, I hope enough people have been doing, is reaching out to people who are sympathetic in our law enforcement and our military for the purpose of, when notified that we need their help, I am making a direct plea to generals and colonels in our military and leaders in our law enforcement. Guys, it's time for you to act on your conscience. You took an oath of office. You understand the stakes here. You know what we need to do. Voting, if it turns out not to come out to defeat the Republicans, you know you have to save your country, and we can't do it alone. We need your help.
I may be naive. Thank you so kindly, John. I may be naive, but I actually think there are some good people in our military, and I think we saw that during the first Trump administration, that they, following the rules, they went ahead and made sure and put people first, realizing that their oath is to the Constitution and not to a president. And I still think there are good guys in our military that would do just that. David, come on in, line number 3.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. Yeah, I think that's called refusing to obey an illegal order.
Yes, sir.
A whole lot of people, if I understand right, this ICE thing, don't they have a bounty? ICE is offering a bounty to these ICE agents. That's pretty creepy.
I heard, I read that. I haven't checked to see if ChatGPT, checking all its resources, how accurate that is. I should find that out, but I did hear that. Go ahead, sir.
Well, there was signing bonuses, but it's whether or not they're going to catch their 3,000 a day is where the ugly end comes in. What I wanted to ask about, though, is regarding Texas and the floods down there. You know, in insurance, they have a thing called an act of God, right? All those little Christian girls got killed was it an act of God?
No, well, actually, it is an act of, let me explain that. I know where you're going. That is the reason why, if you notice, flood insurance is different than regular insurance. That's why you have to have your regular insurance cover things like the water coming from above and that sort of a thing, but it doesn't cover the floods, which are those act of God things that you're saying. So we, the people with flood insurance, are the ones who cover that. So that's why if you live in a floodplain, your mortgage owner requires you to buy flood insurance, all that good stuff. It's a different kind of insurance. Like on my home, I have 2 different insurance. One from the private sector, which is all state, that covers the house fires, that kind of stuff, and the flood insurance, which is by the government, that covers regular flood, and they have their own limits and rules on that.
Right. Well, so didn't the owner appeal to Trump's 2019 and 2020 FEMA?
Yes, he did. To let him build in the flood zone without penalties. Yes, sir. That is correct. It's amazing, and he got the waiver. Yeah, I mean, look. It's all a cabal, but look, I only have a couple of minutes left, and I still have Brian on hold
Let
here.
the next guy get in. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. You have a wonderful day. Brian, come on in.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. How is everyone?
We're doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
Good. Okay, in the 32 years the Republicans been in office, the economic growth has been 8.4%. The average inflation rate is 4.75%. Under the Democrats, the growth was 7.5%. The inflation rate was 8%. Now, where do you get your idea that the economy is better under the Democrats?
Look, I have all of the numbers. I don't know where you're getting those numbers from. I suggest you go ahead and read the labor statistics and the other places. The fact of the matter is, sir, the fact of the matter is absolute. So I don't know what you're talking about, but thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for calling. Those numbers are completely wrong, sir. I have written blogs on the difference between the Republican leadership and Democratic leadership, and it's found. You can find it at egberto.substack.com. Thank you, brother. All right, folks. So let me pass it to the studio.
Very interesting show today. Jack, you got something?
Yeah, Trump has an ethics secretary?
Oh my God! Thank you.
Yeah, does he?
All right, you're terrible, Jack.
What school did she go to?
Yeah, can she even spell?
You are terrible. Anyway, folks, let me tell you. First of all, you guys completely hijacked the show today. But again, it's your show. We were to talk about cryptocurrency. We were to talk about a few other things. We won't be able to. We'd have time otherwise to talk about cryptocurrency and the fraud that it really is. So, not a problem. You come first. Always, you come first. Anyway, folks, you can get the rest of the show at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsandright.com, kpft@politicsandright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?